Welcome, Detective Brian Simmons, joining us. You are the January CPN Member of the Month. Been doing a lot of work in terms of just selfless service in regards to trying to help CPN grow and making introductions, and just without anyone asking. You're just doing it. So I wanted to certainly spotlight your efforts and appreciate you. So welcome.
Thank you very much. I hope all is well down there in Texas.
It's getting a little cold. Yeah, a couple snow flurries. It got down to like 17 degrees.
It's frigid here too. It's about
Frigid.
76.
Frigid. Sounds like good old Florida weather.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, indeed. So I think a good place to start is just kind of around how when you first joined CPN initially, it was one of the first things after you joined, you reached out to me and said, hey, how can I be of service? Where does that mentality come from?
I've always been that kind of person, but really what drove it home for me initially was my experience at Norwich University. Norwich is a unique school. It's the nation's oldest private military school, founded in 1819. They founded the ROTC program. And the
Oh,
whole
wow.
experience as a cadet is predicated on service before self. And then you have to learn how to follow before you can learn how to lead. So it's a whole self-run core of cadets. And it just drives it home. And in every aspect of it, it just more and more you become part of a team and you lose a lot of yourself. It's important to maintain your individualism, but you operate as a team better than you do as an individual. And it gets driven home and becomes part of you, really. And I'm grateful for that experience. And then after school, I missed that you go, we go kind of spirit.
Yeah.
I joined a volunteer fire department once I moved down to Florida. And so that spirit continued as a volunteer organization. And I went up the food chain and ultimately became fire chief after roughly 20 years of service there. So it's been a whole lifestyle for me to do things like that. So it wasn't a far reach for me to reach out to you with what can I do to help. That would be normal for me, at least.
Yeah,
But
makes
that's where it
sense.
all.
And I've been noticing a common theme amongst members or professionals who kind of gravitate to CMMC and cybersecurity, kind of those who have that drive for service where they want to be able to give back and in that capacity. To,
That's continued, in my career as law enforcement. It's important to me. And then even it translates in a social setting because at this point in my life, I have some skill sets that can be actionable in daily life. I'm always the first one to jump in. And most of my friends are that type as well, to jump in if somebody needs a hand, etc.
certainly can take you far in life. That's a good,
Yeah,
good
hopefully.
approach. So I guess take us back. Did you grow up in Florida?
No, I originally grew up on Cape Cod. I was real fortunate in a small town up there, which is in Massachusetts, for anybody who doesn't know that, and just a small oceanside town. And, just went through there. I learned from my father's experience on the Marine Corps. He fought in Korea. Didn't talk about it much, but it was that same kind of help others, before yourself kind of thing. So I was fortunate to have some really good examples growing up in that sense.
Okay. So that's kind of in your bloodline.
Yeah, yeah, worked out well. And then going to Norwich, my first year I wanted to be a Navy SEAL. I was an ROTC midshipman up there.
Okay.
And then I changed gears and wanted to go aviation. And senior year, they did a background check on me and found out that I had asthma when I was a kid, and that was a disqualifier. So
Oh,
they said, well, you're welcome for an education. They said, you'll never be a pilot, with that condition, and you're not a mechanical engineer, that type. And that kind of got under my skin a little bit. So I moved to
yeah.
Florida and became a pilot anyway, just I think to prove them wrong.
Never tell you never.
Exactly. So that's a lot of that could be part of an Irish heritage too that I have going.
Awesome. Awesome. So what about family, kids, siblings, big families?
I have three older sisters who are all still up in Massachusetts. My dad passed away a few years ago. My mom still lives up in Massachusetts, although she lived down here for a little bit down in Florida. I don't have any kids, and I'm fortunate to have a great group of friends down here. It works out real well. Real small community, another small beachside community for me, which is, like I mentioned before, what I grew up in.
Okay.
It worked
Living
out.
it.
Yeah, yeah. I'm fortunate so far.
Awesome. So what attracted to you to CMMC, cybersecurity?
Well, I got my master's degree also through Norwich, and that's in cybersecurity. And once I got that, it's kind of a wide open perspective, really. And another Norwich alum reached out to me and said, I think I have an opportunity for you. And he wanted me to do some technical type sales for him with my background in law enforcement and the cybersecurity.
Yes.
And in that conversation, he said, well, what title do you need? And so, we talked about it, went back and forth. And if you want to put me in charge of your cybersecurity, I told the company, that's a role that I can actually follow through with. And then from there, I quickly realized that the CMMC landscape was changing more rapidly than it had in the past. And that company was facing a level 2 assessment.
Okay.
And I told him, I said, listen, I'm aware of CMMC. I don't know it as well as I need to for this application. And if you want me to, go take a class and become certified at an entry level, the CCP level, said I'm willing to do that for you. Within that process, I signed up for the class, and that's going well currently.
Okay.
And but it enhanced a lot of what I knew through my master's program. If I have a baseline knowledge of what's going on because of that, now that's all getting enhanced. I'm becoming acutely aware of specific needs and things along those lines. And within that effort, I didn't want to just focus on the class. I wanted to reach out to other resources and tripped across CPN. And I think actually you and I had messaged back and forth just prior to the foundation of CPN. Excuse me. And so it went from there. And, my association with you guys has really enhanced with the mock assessment. And in my experience, because they're held at a challenging time for me during the week. I can't participate in a lot of them. However, the first one I did, and it was great for me. But I have the ability to go back and look back at the mock assessments that you guys have put on, and it's been fantastic. So it's been another resource, and that's part of why you guys have helped me out. I'd love to do that. And I think it's important, really. I think the foundation of CPN brings a lot to the table, which is why I wanted to reach out to my alumni association and Nuari that we talked about, Norwich University Applied Research, and make that connection, because I think CPN is bringing a service to the table here that shouldn't be missed for those in this community. I think it's real important.
No, appreciate that insight. And so I'm really excited about next month. CPN is going to be launching our CMMC pathways. So the training to allow the members to essentially choose their own adventure, select if they want to specialize in being able to implement and assess the requirements for Microsoft, Vail, Google, or AWS. So giving them that hands-on training. We're really excited about that. And then you mentioned with the mock assessments while you're talking, it made me think about knowing that you are a SWAT team lead. I guess kind of talk to us about, like, I'm sure you all do a lot of dry runs. Like, where is some overlap with that, and why you all do those dry runs, and how you can see mock assessments helping CMC professionals prepare.
For SWAT, we very loosely put, and not even that loosely put, but it sounds tough guy, and I don't mean it to be, but we're not really allowed to fail. We're the cavalry. Right? We're the last line. And so because of that kind of condition, we have to prepare. It's absolutely critical. And based on that, we train twice a month in my agency, at least.
Okay.
And one day is all shooting. We have to be very good at shooting, unfortunately, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
And we can't miss our target. That's a big problem for anybody who shoots. And then the second day is all tactics, where we discuss different types of scenarios. What if? Or this agency ran into this scenario. Let's practice this and see how we react. And maybe use how a different agency reacted and see how that works for us. And maybe it doesn't. We'll tweak it. And the whole goal is to expose us to different scenarios and different conditions. And we train during bad weather. We train during good weather. In Florida, it gets real hot here, as everyone knows. And we have all that gear on. We're wearing probably 50 pounds of gear. And then we're sitting out without shade in 90 plus degrees in the sun. And we can't move for hours because you get an assignment. And this is your life until this situation is resolved. But we're able to do things like that because of the training.
Right.
And that's where I think the overlap comes in, where these mock assessments, in my estimation, are a huge benefit to this community. And you walk into your first assessment as you're a veteran somewhat. That's a bit of an overstatement again, maybe, but you're walking in, and if you have the ability to sit through as many as you can, what a huge
Yeah,
plus it is in your corner. And
exactly.
there's a phrase in law enforcement, my training and experience. When you go to court, attorneys will want to beat you up and see if you know what you did. Why did you make these decisions? And a common response from law enforcement is in my training and experience. Oh, so you've done this before? Yes, I have. I've done this both in training and I have experience. And for the CMMC world, I'd be able to say the same thing. Well, how have you done assessments before? Well, it was CPN. We've had this experience. We've done multiple,
I like that.
assessments already.
Yeah, that makes a lot of good sense. And it reminds me when I was in the military, like a lot of field exercises, and would always be train how you fight.
It's the same principle the way that I see it.
And
It leads on to a lot of different facets in life, but that's how it plays out so far that I see with CMMC.
yeah, exactly. Hit that spot on. And what I like a lot about where people who are transitioning from, like, let's say, that non-traditional IT background. So the experience that you bring and the skill set you bring in, so it gives you a unique perspective to CMMC. And you also highlight how your skills overlap. And that's what I tell people all the time. Like, maybe they're changing career fields and entering into cybersecurity. Like, don't forget the skills you're bringing to the table. Like, don't underestimate yourself. It's like you have to start from scratch, because you're bringing a lot of valuable skills, most likely from your previous career. And one of my visions is, and I think it's gonna be breaking news for you. We haven't announced it yet, but CPN was notified today that we got our 501c3 nonprofit designation. So yeah, really excited about that.
That's
And
fantastic. Fantastic.
yeah, thank you. And now I'm waiting to see. In my vision, one of my big goals with CPN, I would love to see, like, to have actual, like, training centers and in person to actually do CMMC hands-on training. So once we get to that point and identify those sponsors, I know who to consult with in regards to setting up those training centers and your SWAT experience in CMMC. So that'd be great.
No, I'd love to be able to help. Absolutely.
That's going to be a lot of fun. Well, in regards, I know you mentioned that you're consulting now, and also, 'cause you mentioned you're undergoing the CCP training. Is that the one you're going through?
Yeah, correct.
In addition to that, you had mentioned to me that you're also prepping for your CISP. How's that going? And CISP, that's a big one. That's the gold standard for
It's a
cybersecurity.
big one. I'm in the domain 5 of domain 8. I should be ready to test. I think next month is my goal.
Cool.
It's going well. I'm in a course right now that is asynchronous, online kind of thing, but it's helpful as opposed to just brute grunt reading the books on it.
Yeah, that's tough.
But yeah, and I started that goal a little while ago too. So it's coming to a culmination, and hopefully I do well and pass, and that would be fantastic. That combined with the CCP, they're both very important to me. So I want to follow through with both.
Yeah, those are some great credentials to add to your your already long list of credentials in education. I know when I studied for CISP, I started off reading the book, and I didn't go into really formal training courses, but I did what helped me the most. I did a lot of study questions. So really just kind of just getting in your reps and getting a feel of how those questions are worded. Yeah, that helped me a lot.
No, I appreciate that. And I'm definitely doing that a lot for sure.
Yeah,
And the perspective, it's weird, but it's been helpful in other aspects. But, I've been advised, look at the questions and answer them as if you were a manager. That's an important aspect of that, because this is cybersecurity leadership. You have to answer like a manager.
Yep.
But to that end, what I'm learning in CCP, you have to maintain that aspect too, because from what I can tell so far, you're looking at things and from a higher altitude, and you have to be able to advise what the bigger picture is here.
Definitely.
Seems
So
to
they
be
get
helpful.
rule of thumb, because the SSP is a more mid-level, senior level type of person that's serving in that role. They're going to be a information security officer or chief information security officer.
Yeah.
Their viewpoint perspective is going to be different than someone that's hands-on keyboard, entry level, or mid. You want to look from that manager standpoint. So outside of law enforcement, outside of CMMC, what do you do for fun? decompress?
I played, it's certainly a bit off topic, but up at Norwich, I played Division I rugby up there, and I fell in love with the sport. And my favorite team in the world is the New Zealand All Blacks. They're among the best in the world. And if anybody looks it up, they do this tribal war dance right before. Right before they play, and it was a challenge. If you came to New Zealand, these guys would line up and do a tribal war dance, and what they were basically saying in their own native tongue was, this is who we are, we're ready to fight. If you want to fight, let's do this. Well, it translated into modern day, and they put it on the rugby pitch, and these guys still do that, and it incenses them. It fires these guys up, and I absolutely love the New Zealand All Blacks. Although they're not playing in this particular tournament, there's a Six Nations tournament coming up, which is all the top European leagues. And that's playing right now. So I'll go watch the Ireland game this weekend with some friends from the SWAT team, actually. They think I'm crazy for having played rugby, but at the same time, we're all on a SWAT team. So I think there's a little crazy going on around the room there.
Yeah. It makes sense. I'll have to see if I can find it on YouTube.
Look up New Zealand Haka, Haka.
Okay. Yep. All right. Yeah, we'll check that out.
Oh yeah, it's wild, and they're so proud, and they have such a long history.
Yeah, sounds like that plays a role in why they're so successful.
Yeah, but one of the things I enjoy most of rugby is that on the field we'll kill each other, but afterwards we'll get together for some version of a party, and it's, you're the guy that hit me, man, that was a good hit. Let me get you a beer, and you're friends. It's a gentleman's sport. It's not like a lot of traditional American professional level sports that you see on TV. You don't see that type of interaction typically anyway, but there's a camaraderie behind it. It's a respect on both sides. Hey, you guys had a good game today. You killed us. Good for you. Maybe I can learn from that today. That kind of spirit. And I appreciate that.
Yeah, I do love that. And being a spectator, a fan of like martial arts or boxing, I like that about that camaraderie. Like, trying to kill each other in the ring, but afterwards, and when that bell rings, when the fight's over, you're shaking hands and congratulating, and
it's really important. So that's been helpful to me as well. There are aspects of rugby that are in my life today, and things like that. That gentleman's sport. On the law enforcement side, I've been in plenty of fights, unfortunately, but afterwards, I'll try and realize, hey, you're having a bad day. I'm not taking this personally. You're still going to jail, but That's what it is, and you treat each other with respect. And most of the time, it goes that way.
Yeah, that's a good rule of thumb. Cool. Well, Brian, I appreciate getting to know you a little better each time we talk, learn more, and also identify more of your unique skill sets that apply to cybersecurity, and see how you're going to be able to leverage those.
Anything I can do to help out. That's important to me, and I'm happy to help.
So as we ready to let you go, any words of advice or tips you would give to someone who is transitioning from a different career field into cybersecurity and specifically navigating CMMC?
From law enforcement or any different background, from what I've learned and what I'm starting to appreciate to a much higher degree now, is bring your entire background to the table. It's helpful. Don't think this is just about cybersecurity or Department of Defense aspects, contracting or anything like that, because so many different aspects of my life have contributed to where I am today. And when I'm able to bring everything together, it's proven itself to be pretty helpful so far. So I think that's the biggest advice I could give at this point.
Right. That's a good place to drop the mic. That's some great advice. I totally agree. Cool.
Well, thank you very much,
Brian. Always a pleasure.
Are you struggling with CMMC compliance? Feeling stuck and uncertain about your career path in cybersecurity? Imagine having a clear path, expert mentorship, and a supportive community to help you master CMMC and thrive in your career. If you're just looking for another certification, this may not be for you. But if you're committed to making an impact, keep watching. Welcome to CPN, a mission-driven community empowering cybersecurity professionals with the resources, real-world experience, and mentorship needed for success in the CMMC ecosystem. At CPN, we focus on quality training, meaningful mentorship, and a strong network that prepares you to support the defense industrial base with confidence. Join us today and start advancing in your career with the guidance you deserve. Gain insights from experts, build hands-on experience, and connect with a network that supports your growth. With CPN, you're never alone in your CMMC journey.